EU politicians and Brexit negotiators alike are furious with the UK over moves to potentially break international law, something the bloc has openly admitted to doing itself before, while arguing justification and innocence. On Monday, the House of Commons voted on a controversial new bill published by the government. The UK is currently in a transition period that keeps it bound to the EU's rules until December 31. The two sides are trying to negotiate a new trade deal that would come into effect once this period ends, but talks have been characterized by perpetual deadlock. With the new internal market bill, the government is essentially seeking to prevent disruption to trade between the four nations of the UK if no deal is reached with the EU. Downing Street has described it as a vital legal safety net. However, the move has enraged the EU and prompted a fresh rebellion within the Conservative Party. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has set Prime Minister Boris Johnson a 3-week deadline to ditch his plans or face financial and trade sanctions, with the clear suggestion that negotiations over a future relationship will fail unless the most contentious parts of the proposed legislation are removed. While it is true that if Mr. Johnson went ahead with his plan, Britain would essentially break international law, unearthed reports prove the EU has done exactly that in the past, while arguing its innocence. Professor of International History at the London School of Economics (LSE), Alan Sked recently made an example of this. He wrote on Twitter, "The European Court of Justice ruled in the Qadi Barakat case that the EU should ignore the UN Charter, the highest source of international law, if it conflicted with the EU's internal constitutional order." Mr. Qadi, a Saudi resident with assets in Sweden, and Al-Barakat, a charity for Somali refugees, claimed that his assets being frozen was unlawful in the 2008 case. Their property was seized without any court hearing or right of redress or allegation of wrongdoing. The UN Security Council adopted resolutions under Chapter 7 to freeze assets of people and groups associated with the Taliban and Osama bin Laden. The EU adopted regulations to give effect and Sweden had given effect to the regulation.